Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled Mayor and Council meeting for the town of Berlin. It is Monday, March 11th, 2024. Please join us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item on our agenda is the approval of our consent agenda, please.
Mayor, I actually have a correction to the minutes of the regular session of 2/26/24. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. So page 14 in the packet. And actually, I already spoke to Kate about this, so this is just for the open record. Number 7 under reports, down at the voting, it reads on the motion of Vice President Pro Tem Nichols, seconded by Councilmember Nichols. I think that needs to be changed, I believe, to on the motion of Vice President Burrell and seconded by Councilmember Nichols.
Okay.
And if there's no other corrections, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. So we have a motion to approve the consent agenda with amendments. And the second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Let the record reflect that the consent agenda passes unanimously with all council members present. Thank you. So first, the agenda item number 2 is a proclamation for Women's History Month. We actually have 2 for this evening. It's going to be Women's History Month and World Down Syndrome Day, which is actually March 21st. So we'll start with Women's History Month. Whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have historically sacrificed to make significant contributions to their families, workplaces, and neighborhoods as leaders and colleagues, counselors and clerics, artists and teachers, doctors and nurses, mothers and grandmothers. And whereas despite the innumerable contributions women have made and continue to make, too little is taught or even known about the enormous impact women have on our collective national history. And whereas the National Women's History Alliance chose the 2024 theme that celebrates women who advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion. This theme recognizes women throughout the country who understand the need to eliminate bias and discrimination from individuals' lives and institutions for a positive future. And whereas this Women's History Month, may we recognize the long storied history of great women helping to realize our nation's founding promise and highest aspirations. May we continue to work together to build a world worthy of the dreams and goals of all women and girls. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Zach Tyndall, Mayor of the town of Berlin, do hereby proclaim the month of March as Women's History Month. We call upon all citizens of the town of Berlin to observe this month in witness hereto my hand and seal, town of Berlin. So thank you, and please join us in celebrating all the women in this room, as well as all the women in our town that do a fabulous job of helping make Berlin what it is. So let's give that a round of applause. Thank you. And to note, our town administrator, our town's operations are led by a woman that has been here for how many years? A long time. So, thank you for that. Up next is proclamation for World Down Syndrome Day. Whereas World Down Syndrome Day, WDSD, the 21st of March, is a global awareness day. Down syndrome is a genetic disorder caused by an abnormal cell division resulting in an extra full or partial copy of genetic material from the 21st chromosome. Since 2011, United Nations General Assembly declared March 21st as World Down Syndrome Day, and the date for this being the 21st day of the third month. This was selected to signify the uniqueness of the trisomy, thank you, of the 21st chromosome, which causes Down syndrome. Whereas World Down Syndrome Day is an opportunity to enhance public education and awareness about Down syndrome. And some of you may recall, a couple of years ago, we had Tommy come in here and make the original request for this proclamation. Whereas when children and adults with Down syndrome and other disabilities are given opportunities to participate, all children benefit from the shared environment. And whereas on March 21st, 2024, the town of Berlin encourages our citizens to raise awareness and recognize World Down Syndrome Day by participating in the hashtag Lots of Socks campaign. So everybody at home, just break out on the set your calendar on March 21st, wear 2 mixed match socks. That's a nice little part of the campaign and a way to show your support. And lighting the trees over here on North Main Street by the War Memorial in Yellow and Blue. Tim and his crew have done that for us each year since Tommy came in and made that request, so to help raise awareness. And then therefore be it proclaimed, the town of Berlin celebrates March 21st as World Down Syndrome Awareness Day, and ask all of our citizens to observe this day and participate in the Lots of Socks campaign. So thank you. All right. Up next is agenda item number 3. These are items for approval. With the items for approval, we do have a public comment period before each item is action. Item A, motion 2024-13 is the award of contract RFP number 2024-02 for Harrison Avenue water utility improvements, and our Water Resources Director, Jamie Latcham, and DEF engineer, Josh Taylor, are going to be from the line.
Good evening, Mayor Council. We have we've been brought to light that the water main on Harrison Avenue runs underneath of Broad Street, the Berlin Brew House, if I'm saying that correct. And we would like to move it out and get it in the right of way due to we're thinking that the building was built in 1932, so we're giving Taker that remains almost 100 years old. So we would like to move it out into the street to get it out from underneath the building, so anything happens to it won't damage the structure there. We had bids open the other Friday. We had 4 bids come in, and we selected to go with Goody Hill due to they're the lowest price bid we had.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Josh, anything you want to add? Clear and to the point. Any questions for Josh or Jamie?
Jamie, yeah, I was just wondering, the summary says that the final project cost will be dependent on the actual work installed, and then the recommendation is in a not to exceed statement. Can you clarify that, please?
Yes, we put in there not to exceed is due to the fact that we don't feel that we left nothing out, and that's what Mary said. Soup to nuts. Am I saying that right, Mary? Yeah. So I mean, it's not a complex job, but it's just we have everything in there that we've worked with jobs very well and made sure we put everything in that we needed to move the water main and have it installed without having to come back and ask for anything else.
And the expectation is that it will be less than 156, but we're allowed up to that.
So the 36,000 needed is recommended to be taken from the Powelton Avenue well house. I guess first, do you have any update on that project? Or no?
Yes, I do. Josh and his team have the building designed, but with the summer months coming, that is our largest well. And I really don't want to be without that largest well because we have a tendency to use more water during the summertime than we do during the winter time. That's because a lot of people irrigate their yards and all that stuff. So I don't want to lose that well during the more busier months for irrigation.
So on top of that, could the 36,000 come from the capital charges for water instead of pulling from that project?
I'm going to have to ask Natalie because me and her talked about it, and that's where she thought the best way to take it from.
And I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I mean, potential, yes, of course, if you are all in agreement to approve to move from reserve to this specific $36,000, yes, but if we already have capital funds allocated to fiscal 24 budget that is not going to be utilized in the project in fiscal 24, I don't see the reason why I move the capital fees towards the William Street when we have Powelton Avenue funds not being utilized, and then we will rebudget correctly for fiscal 25 going forward because this project is not going to start till later.
Okay. That's all. Yeah.
I mean, in Josh's eyes, I mean, and you, Josh, you can back me up. I mean, we're probably, if we started bidding tomorrow, it would probably be, we'd probably set the bid month and a half. That'd put us in the middle of May. Time that we would award probably be middle of July, and then, so we were trying to hold off and try to bid it during May, have it in front of you in August, the award, and then, like, notice proceeding by 1st of October.
That's, yeah.
That's just my thought, because I didn't want to, like I said, I don't want to lose our largest well in town with our largest, during the summertime, is we have a larger water use than we do during the winter time.
Okay, thank you.
Josh, I just have a question on the discrepancies in the four bids. So if you look at line item number 7, which is furnish and install 6-inch water main and restoration at Lady Hill Building, $1,140. And then the cost from the other companies escalates significantly from there. I'm just curious as to how that can be.
I try not to guess, but with that kind of discrepancy on that small of an amount of pipe, my only guess would be that they have ductile iron in stock.
Okay, what now?
They probably have ductile iron pipe in stock. It is such a small
Right.
item.
Wow.
Yeah, the others, but that's a very good price. If you have any other 6-inch diameter water main in town, that's kind of the change order on that. Now, we also we were very happy that Hopkins and Goody Hill were very close to each other, and then kind of analyzing, trying to figure out where TK construction and Brandon were high. It was kind of spread across the board. You can see traffic control was a big discrepancy for TK, and then the Hopkins simply for Brandon was astronomical. So, I think they were all just kind of taking some different approach. We know Cottage was overplaying with bids, and
Pulling these numbers out of the air.
we've been on that for the last 3 years. But, and to your point, Councilman Morris, one of the things we do is we include contingency items to cover things that might come up. So the not to exceed, we don't plan on exceeding that price because we don't plan on utilizing all the contingency items. We hope to, the numbers come in lower. We want to use those because of proper planning and execution, working with the town, and putting together a good set of bid documents and contractors to come up back with the price. Again, I was really glad to see the two low bidders come in with a few percentage points.
Any additional questions or comments?
Yes, could you guys talk about the timeline from here? Soon, with the assumption that we may be moving forward tonight, but the property owner is clearly, the site is gearing up and looking ready. What would be the timeline for this, as far as when the work would start and when it would be completed?
I spoke to, with Josh a lot, and we were hoping to, within 30 days. I can't say it's going to take them 10 days to do it all, but a lot of the work should be done in about 2 days, the directional drilling, because they're going to get in and out with that 300 foot of piping. So I'm thinking we should see, if it's approved tonight, most of the materials aren't in stock, but most of this is readily available, and we can get moving. I would say we should probably be achieving the goal by May 1st, around there.
Okay, great. And then you covered this, I believe, when it came up last. As far as the road, how long the road will be closed, that kind of thing, for the community?
We're only thinking that our best assumption would be only 1 day for when they go across from the water main to tie into the brew house. Other than that, everything's going to be directly drilled, so it's going to be very minimal, other than out on the state highway and Baker and Harrison in that area.
And we'll do the code red and all that, I know we will, but just so that everybody's aware, we'll do the code red messaging as well as the social media posts for when that closure is going to take place.
And I'm going to reiterate this, just be advised, we're messing with 1930 valves and mains, so we've had a tendency, they've been snapping a little bit and breaking, so I just don't want everybody to be surprised if something happens. I mean, we have it laid out, we have it, or how we're going to cut everything off so they can do the tie-ins, but there's always still that 1% that's there, yeah.
So do you mean like grainy water, brown water?
More likely, you will have brown water, dirty water, but we've done some additional work in the area to try to alleviate making a larger area out of water. We've tried to plan ahead for Broad Street Lift Station in this also, so we put some valves in for Broad Street Lift Station and Harrison. So instead of 200 to 300 people being out in that area, we've minimized it down to probably 50 people, if not 25 people be out.
Jamie and his guys were very forward thinking on this by getting this valve study beforehand to minimize the disruption to the water supply and to keep the price down for the contractors on the water.
Thank you. And crew.
Any other questions for Jamie or Josh? If not, we're gonna open it up to the public comment. Okay, anyone from the public that would like to address the mayor and council regarding motion 2024-13? All right, seeing none, we'll take any action by the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Nerd, second by Council Vice President Burrell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion 2024-13 passes unanimously. Approval to Goody Hill. All right, up next, are you staying seated for this, or is Andrew taking a seat now? I didn't know if you were going to leave him high and dry. All right, up next is agenda item 3B, motion 2024-14, the award of additional Heron Park demolition work. Town Administrator Mary Boland and DBF Engineer Andrew Welch, and Josh Taylor will run the point on this.
I'm going to turn it right over to them.
Okay. We solicited some additional services and estimates from J&T Enterprises for additional work that could be undertaken to continue the efforts to utilize the grant for demolition. As of right now, we have a bid from J&T Enterprises for $112,715 for demolition down to the concrete slab of areas 1, 2, and 3 upon the screen. That would leave the finished floor and the concrete slab about 4 feet higher than grade, which really doesn't present a good starting point for repurposing or redevelopment of that area. So we know that the concept is to bring that down to grade. So we've asked J&T Enterprises to give us an estimate for areas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7 to bring that flat work down to grade, remove footings, and do the site work, which would include removing soil and regrading and stabilizing that bare ground. So I did put together a letter summarizing what I call first priorities. That would be the first 4 items in their estimate, would total $158,495. Add that to the original bid, $271,210, and then even adding some work that we were encouraging the town to move forward with in Area 7, just cleaning up. There's a lot of conduits, piping, miscellaneous mechanical systems hanging from the ceiling in Area 7. Again, none of that would ever be repurposed or reused in a redevelopment of that building, so that's an additional $31,000, so the new total, $302,210. That still leaves some substantial money from the grant of $127,789, but I'm recommending that the town keep that because there still are some contingency items, some latent conditions that are going to be uncovered when they start removing the slab and the soil onto there and find out that we need to underpin foundations of the buildings that are going to remain. There could be utilities in there that we don't know about that may require capping or special demolition. There could be large concrete foundations that slab that they're gonna uncover, so we want to keep a reserve for, latent conditions, that really the contractor he hasn't bid on. In fact, keep in mind, these are estimates. So in a nutshell, I'd like to, write a change order request for the items that I outlined as first priorities and get firm prices from Bain Enterprise. Sorry, that was a long one.
No, it was very thorough, thank you, Andrew. Any questions for Andrew? If so, Joshua Armstrong.
So, just to be clear, you're talking about taking down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? No, 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, 3.
Just 1, 2, 3.
But taking them down fully, taking the slab out
Right.
and then the additional work for Area 7, but not demolishing Area 7.
So I thought when the gentleman from J&T was here, we asked him to give us a bid price for all buildings. Sure. Well, if we did that, then we would receive the grant. He did provide prices for that. And after we mobilize and get into 1, 2, and 3, and find out, well, there aren't any contingency items, now we can start focusing on maybe additional monies to work on buildings 4 and 5, for instance.
So is that, I'm sorry. So is that, so the 436,612 that's quoted in here, that would be added to the original bid, correct? Leaving no contingency, and that takes care of everything, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Right. So that receives the grant, and we don't have any contingency for.
It doesn't allow for what we might find
Yeah.
that.
And does this include anything behind the fence?
Behind the fence, I don't think we had talked about behind the fence, but.
We have, when you say behind the fence, do you mean all the stuff that is along the railroad tracks headed back? I think
Yeah,
that was
I think
part of
it's-
zone 1 that we had originally.
I think this area here, and in full disclosure, I emailed these questions out, and you replied, but for the public record, I'm reading them off my phone. So, when I'm asking that question, you may reply, the original bid includes cleanup of site behind the building, but not behind the fence. But I think that, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's actually the same. No.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
So when I drive up to here, when I drive to behind the building, I park my car in front of the brown fence.
Okay.
Okay, so are we talking about everything behind there and up?
That was not included.
That is not included. Okay.
I thought that was the prioritization of what we said was around the outside of the building to bring it up clean to the building. I thought I thought that's what we had said.
Kind of between the building and the fence that runs along the railroad track.
We would really like it cleaned up all the way from the only part that we would like still secure would be the outline of 6, 4, 5, 87. Everything else we would like to have open and be able to utilize if
Back
possible.
there, there's some concrete pads, maybe a few little flags, partitions where they store stuff. I'm not sure exactly what.
We'd like to clean it all the way up to those foundations if possible.
We don't have that included.
Okay.
It's not included in there.
But if we can work toward that with the 127, I think we've got some play as long as things go the way that we would like them to go. We should have some additional funds to be able to cover some of that, don't you think?
I think so. I think those are minor adds for our contractor who's going to be doing some pretty heavy demolition.
We can certainly ask them to give us a price for that. And I think that Public Works can probably take care of some of the sort of loose freestanding items, but not the demolition of concrete.
And
I would say the goal of the council, and correct me if I'm wrong, and everybody here, is to get 6, 4, 5, like clean, tightened up, and make sure that they're not accessible to anybody. And then do the same thing with 87.
And what's the value of keeping 6 or 5? I mean, you're disjointing the building now.
We talked about it as, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to cover the cost of.
Right, I don't think think it's as much a value of keeping certain sections as what we could accomplish with the money we have available.
But from a repurposing standpoint, and Andrew and I and the secretary talked about this, is that 4, 5, and 6 could be warehousing and some offices in the front, potentially. So there is some repurposing there that could exist, we just have to figure out what that's gonna be.
And I just want to re-clarify, I guess, that area 6, the original bid includes removal of debris from areas 4, 5, and 6, and the original bid includes removal of suspended ceilings, installation, debris, and loose paint in area 8.
Correct. Tightening up.
Tidying up is how I like it.
So I'm clear, the new total is 302,000, we continue to have 127,000. So that brings us to roughly 429,000. The rest of the demo grant will be the engineering fees.
Do we have
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I had the,
so we're not over at all now?
At this point, you know, we're not.
I mean,
Even if we do.
we're only in the infancy stage, but it looks right now with the recommendation that we will not exceed the grant and that we will have a buffer of $127,000.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Well, hold on. Any other questions for Andrew or Don? All right, let's open it up to the public. Anybody from the public that would like to address the mayor and council regarding motion 2024-14? All right, seeing none, then we can take a vote.
And I just have one more question, I'm sorry for that. This includes taking down the slabs for 1, 2, and 3. We're not just taking the stuff out of the company.
That's correct.
Good job, John.
Josh,
I did it for you, but timeline on this, when are they gonna start? When can they start? You know, tomorrow?
They have, fairly mobilized here, we're gonna do some, work on the roof on Friday, I don't know if we got to that, but they're ready to mobilize this week.
And I think
we
it's.
have some additional asbestos testing that needs to be done, and that will kind of change everything else.
And I think we helped out a whole lot with that wall.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
absolutely.
You all-
Keys.
I was worried about that too at the end. I haven't asked them. I don't know. But either way, we got 127,000, so we'll stop.
That's right.
Go ahead.
One last question. The foundation between 8 and 1, so we're saving 8, taking down 1. Did you test the foundation of 8 to see if it's stable?
What we've done is asked the contractors to do some test fitting between 1 and 8, or in the area of 1, to see if there is a foundation that extends below grade, supporting that earth fill that goes up 4 feet. If there's nothing there, then we're going to have to build a foundation.
Oh, so you haven't done the testing?
The contractor will need to remove part of this concrete slab in 1. Actually, more seriously in 2, because 1 is already a fairly low structure. The slab is almost that great. So at this point, we don't know if there are foundations that separate 2 and 7, 1 and 8, 2 and 4. And we won't know it until we does some testing. And therefore could be incur some additional costs, which is what we're talking about today.
Yes, so I was right there, the additional costs. You believe that I adamantly opposed to spending any town money on this property beyond the demo grant, so I'm just gonna state that today. But you feel like that $127,000 is, could cover these question marks that we,
It's always difficult to say.
yeah, I know, I'm putting in a spot.
I
but
think part of
just a
the
little
key is
bit.
as they start working and find things, some of this 302 may change. We may find that we can't do something that's on here now because we have to do other, until they
fluid, right?
get in, it's tough to say.
And we're not going to move forward until we get some of those answers. And I talked with Justin, with J&T, and he said that he will begin working on estimates for the foundation work. I mean, he understands what the foundation is, and we talked about it, and said, I'll start putting numbers to it, and we'll narrow it down a little bit.
And J&T did offer, just for everybody, they did offer to come tonight, but we felt like it was pretty straightforward, that, that they didn't have to make the trek there.
So if there's no other questions, I eagerly, happily, want to go ahead and use the grant to make a motion to approve motion 2024-14, the additional car park demolition work for the new total of $302,210.28.
All right, so I've got a motion by Councilmember Ors. I have a second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect the motion 2024-14 passes unanimously. Thank you. I will say, just for public consumption, we have had some phone calls. Oh, yeah, that was very good.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, it's kind of the show. Pastor and Vice President, we're up. I will say that we've had a couple phone calls and questions about the buildings and their security as far as when the demolition work takes place, but in conversations with J&T as well as Public Works, there will be a sweep every day before demolition starts to make sure that the building is clear.
Unoccupied.
So just so everybody's aware. All right, thank you all, we appreciate it. Up next is agenda item number 4, public hearing, ordinance 2024-01. Mayor and Council of Berlin Infrastructure Bonds 2024 Series A. It says Mary Jack Tyndall's going to run point. I'll run point on the public hearing, but Natalie, Gaskell, anything you want to add before we open it up to the public? Anything, Natalie, or is it?
Just a quick update, we had a phone conference today, a Zoom conference with CDA bond counselor, our counselor, and other couple of 2 or 3 representatives from CDA to discuss our questionnaire and description of the projects. It was fairly quickly, everything went well. They just want to make sure that the description of the projects are falling under the qualifications, the amounts, just general information, and some specific questions on how the projects will proceed, what are the dates, how they're going to be utilized, whether we own the land already or will we purchase it, making sure that we are not self-funding anything with the monies that we will receive, pretty much time after that. So according to their statement, they're moving forward in a little bit earlier dates. We will receive an updated schedule, and I think the funds will be available a week prior to what originally was promised. So originally we said May, middle of May, but I think we're moving to like second week of May, we will be done. And we should be pretty much ready to go for that.
Thank you. All right, any questions before we open up the public hearing?
Well, this one other question, we talked about this, the first payment on the bond it's delayed, correct?
It's biannual payments. The first will be due in October, interest only, and then April will be principal and interest, and then going forward, it will be October and April of each year, principal and interest together. We also qualify for, because we're borrowing such a small amount of money on the scale with everybody else, we qualify for some discounts. So I'm hoping for better interest rates, which will be set in April.
So Natalie, just for everyone's refreshment of memory, was it 1 million for the
We're
electric main line?
asking for $1 million for electrical break infrastructure, which is smart metering and everything else that will be required with that project or needed for that project to proceed, and $2.8 million for public works building, including everything, the design, the blueprints, development, water sewer connection, like under the ground, everything that will host entire public works, including the garage, administrative office, and it will be everything under one roof.
I think it was mentioned before, just important to note again, I think, that we're looking at a new building at a new location, so
Correct.
at Heron.
We're looking at Heron
So
Park
we have to do all these
on
conditions.
the land and everything will be inclusive.
Yeah, there's no water and sewer or electric infrastructure. Electric goes back a little bit, but not far enough.
I just wanted to reiterate.
All right, so let's open up the public hearing for ordinance 2024-01. Anybody that would like to address the mayor and council regarding the bond issuance? No takers? All right. So then we'll close the public hearing for ordinance 2024-01, and we'll open it up for discussion by the council. If no discussion, we'll open it up for action.
I'll make a motion to approve 2024-01.
We have a motion by Councilmember Green. Which one?
Jay.
Okay. Well, I did Jack first, but, so the motion by Councilmember Green, second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, let the record reflect that ordinance 2024-01 passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, up next is agenda item 5A, the Town of Berlin fiscal overview for FY '24, 6-month review with the finance director. And we apologize for us running behind at our last meeting and you not being able to provide your report. So, thank you.
Well, the report was available, it was too late an hour, and
Correct.
anybody was just understanding the numbers, and even though you're all very familiar with, the financial highlights, this presentation focused on 6 months ended December. Even though we're moving forward by me working on the budget and overall looking, I think we're on a very good path to be very close on the budget amounts. There are certain projects in water and sewer that requires extra funding, but every time you see it in the memos and in the staff presentation asking to reclassify and move money, but overall we should be okay. But looking at the 6 months overall financial highlights, I'm going to start again just hoping that more people are participating in our meetings and listening about the general fund and electric, water, sewer, and stormwater. So general fund is operating for all of the general activities in the town, and the revenues are driving that fund, or funding the fund to be sufficient is coming from taxes, grants, license, permit fees, other intergovernmental revenues such as highway user revenues, slot revenues, and we do receive multiple grants to support the fund. All the fund monies within the general fund are approved by the budget and obviously approved by the mayor and council and operated under the budget. The 6 months, as I stated, ended December 31st. Comparing to the prior year on the right, on the very right column, and then we have a comparison to the budgeted amounts. So total revenues as budgeted for this current fiscal year, 24, we have budgeted almost $12 million. That including our carry forward from the ARPA grants and some advancement from reserves to fund the capital projects. So that big amount contribution from reserves is basically our moving forward funds from fiscal 23. Property taxes is our largest amount for all of the revenues received. We are at 24% to be remaining to complete the budgeted amount of $4.5 million. I think it's very promising that we will collect all the revenues that we budgeted. Other taxes, we have 29% left. We have collected it's as of December, I'm sure the numbers changed right now, at $403,000. I'm not going to go line by line. Contributed revenues and grants, you might have a question, why is this such a small amount? Basically, that's our ARPA, and we record that as we advance. So this amount is, as of December, stands there. So overall, out of 12 million, we have received almost 6, which is half of what we budgeted, not including our contributed funds. We're moving in the right direction. General fund budgeted revenues by source. We have seen this graph before, but the percentage changed a little bit. The property taxes is the largest one, is 38%. We have intergovernmental revenues, which I have mentioned prior, it's 23%. We have obviously some contributed revenues from reserves, it's at 19%, and we have small amounts for licenses, permit services, charges to other funds. 6 months highlighted for expenditures. The largest is obviously our capital outlay that we have planned but not completed overall. We only expense, $222,000. The second largest is general government, which include all the administrative, finance, elected, planning and zoning, and economic development departments. Public safety include police and fire protection, public works expenditures at $638,000. Planning, community development, I've mentioned it's in general, but it's stated separately right there. Recreation and parks, and our debt service is what is only under the general fund, which is principal and interest. Overall, in comparison, the net change on the bottom number of $1,861,000 is basically the revenues exceeded the expenses as of December. Expenditures by category for fiscal '24 is budgeted. The largest is our general government, then we have public safety, public works, planning and community development, recreation, debt service, and capital outlets. They're broken down as a budget and the percent of the total budget. This represents a change of a balance as of December. Non-spendable, and I'll go over each category in a little detail, so the next is one. I'm stating it the same amount because it did not change since fiscal '23. Since the year closed, as of full year, there will be changes. Restricted is our slots revenues. Committed, we have impact fees, debt reduction reserve, disaster recovery. Assigned, we have insurance, our healthcare, police forfeiture, capital reserve, stabilization, and community center. Unassigned balance, the number 1.8 is basically the change for 6 months, represented a total of $8,447,000. It's a little bit lower as of fiscal '23. We have some slots revenues that are a little bit lesser. Non-spendable balance is our due from amounts, and we're actually doing really well. Fiscal '23, as a final audit been presented, we were able to transfer what was budgeted from sewer to general fund, and also repay some small amount from the stormwater. So we're moving in the right path to close the non-spendable fund balance. Ideally, we want to see non-existent. Restricted fund is our slots revenues, which is restricted by different agency and assigned as of right now to LEOPS of the police. Committed fund balance is what we decided to spend on by mayor and council action. Very similar is assigned fund balance as well, which is classified for a very specific purpose, and as well decided on the action of the mayor and council. Unassigned balance is what left over residual from the expenditures and the revenues, the excess of the revenues at the end of the year. This graph represents the comparison of general fund balance from 2017 through 2023 audited numbers. So those numbers are actually full 12 months. The unassigned balance is kind of darker color. And if we look at 2022, we had $2.2 million. At 2023, we had $3.2 million. That's a very healthy pass for the general fund to have close at the end of the year. Same thing represented in words, basically the whole amounts described which under each category inclusive. Some capital projects for 6 months for general fund. We have replaced an IT server. We have expensed some Heron Park for demolition. Town hall bricks been repaired. Town hall AC unit been replaced. We have some small amount instead, I believe it's engineering fees, for Berlin bikeways. Police department sealed their asphalt, I guess, outside of the building. Public Works purchased a trailer. Sanitation have purchased trash cans with lids. Streets and past pavings, a small amount. We've purchased 2 snow plows and 1 dump truck for $93,000.
those snow plows would serve as insurance for no snow.
That's half,
That's why now.
and that's half
That's
of the
how
truck.
the truck.
Right.
The other half came out of wastewater.
It's shared between the two funds. If you don't have questions about general fund, I'm gonna move to
Well,
electric.
I just had a quick one about the brick work.
Yes.
I see we put out the 36,000, but did insurance cover any of that? Did we get reimbursed for that?
This was
What-
insurance.
That inside was insurance reimbursement for the water damage, which is the wall behind you. The outside brick is basically wear and tear from weather
Okay.
and the time. That's not
It
covered.
was the other three exterior walls. There was some coverage for the exterior wall on this side, but not
Not this. Okay. Thank you.
Just one question too. I asked Natalie in an email we got from her earlier that of the licenses, and she reminded me that the business licenses are issued in the spring, so that's why that number is low. But also, I know we're doing the budget time in the spring. We talked a lot about revenues, and I think we were aggressively conservative with revenues. And at this point in the year, halfway through, do you have any concerns on that front as far as us not making our budget with revenues?
I have a little concern about state highway revenues, but, yeah, the use of fees, it's kind of a little behind. But from what I've read and heard so far, we should be fine in fiscal '24 as projections.
Just delays, right?
Stated, yes.
Thanks.
And what it looks like too is 25 HUR should still be intact, but it's not passed yet, but that's the recommended.
It's a very volatile revenue, it depends on so many factors, on the travelers, the issue of the registration, and et cetera. So I would suggest budget conservatively.
So the
Elec-
recommendation's unchanged.
Electric fund, overall revenues and overall expenses looking pretty much good by looking just at the percentage. There's 60% remaining in revenues to collect and pretty much 60% to 65% in expenditures. Tim is doing a good job on tracking his budget, checking with me on reports, and our whole entire crew is very concerned about the cost, very due diligent about ordering stuff in time. Charges for services, it's basically covering entire electricity for residential, commercial, and everything under the electric grid. And then sales and services, that amount of $435,000. There is included some projects that are reimbursed by the developers or the transformers stuff that purchased and reimbursed back. So in the 6 months, there's a small amount, but I believe that Tim has completed many more projects since then. Originally, we have spoken to allocate $750 from the bond loan for AMI metering, but right now this amount will be changed. I will present a budget amendment going forward before we close on the bonds to adjust that amount to $1 million. Purchase power is the cost recovered basically through the sales of the electricity. Personnel expense and everything else is within the line of the budget. So total overall expenditures, including the capital outlays, is $8 million. We have expense 2.8. There's a small amount of income, but I'm not really concerned about electric fund. It should be fine. Some capital projects completed, transformer control boxes purchased. There's transformers, more transformers, overhead transformers. 2023 Chevrolet Silverado purchased vehicle for power distribution and some utility poles. You don't have questions for electric, I will move
Good
to
job, Tim.
water resources. Yes, good job. Water fund. The revenue's a little bit behind. If we look at budget amounts of 1.2, represents only 6 months. Contribution for reserve is the carry forward ARPA grant that we allocated to capital projects. There is some repairs and maintenance amount stated as low, but going forward, this amount is pretty much at the budgeted amounts because of the bigger projects that Jamie is dealing with. So the end of the year, we have a loss, the 6 months, end of calendar year, 12/31. We have a small loss of 35,000, but hopefully another 6 months will improve that. Sewer fund, the revenues is in a very good position. There's service charges, the whole fees are doing outstanding in revenues. So overall, the amount of budgeted 3.6, and we already received 1.9 at 6 months. Contribution from reserve is our ARPA carry forward. Total operating expenses remain at 68%, which is a great amount, and we see an increase of the fund at 6 months of 371,000. I'm very glad to see the numbers as they are.
This is the hauler
It's
fees.
fast.
We're not seeing anything changing on the hauler fees.
Well, that passive revenues is temporal,
Right.
unfortunate. It will remain a small amount as usual, vendors will utilize the facility, but the main big jump is the Walmart site that contribute a lot. Eventually that will end. Yes.
Well, and the nice part is that Jamie and Natalie have really put it to good use. What capital projects have we funded just recently with the hauler fee? I want to say down on William Street.
It's William Street, I believe, and everything that is included underground and also the lead piping as well. Yes.
There were a couple of big projects that we utilized the hauler fee. I feel like there were, no, I don't think so. But
And
I
then
think-
Jamie's street paving, I think, will include the project that will be done under the ground, and then your state highway user revenue will cover the pavings after all. So it's a combination, it's a combo project, which will be very useful since we have that available.
Thank you guys for using the funds to the best of their ability.
So we have allocated 300,000 to move back to general fund as of fiscal '24. Hopefully that will remain, and also to contribute to reserve to capital, which the question was brought up, can we use the capital service fees for projects? Yes, we can, but my recommendation would be continuously fund that reserve for wastewater plant expansion, water tower, something that very, very big and certain. The projects that happening right now is because they're emergency projects.
And building that fund balance up only puts us in a stronger position if we want to absorb some form of debt later on
Absolutely.
in that fund.
Capital projects for water and sewer. There is a second half of the dump truck in the water fund. Powelton Avenue well house, a small amount in Harrison Avenue water main, and those probably just engineering fees. Water distribution half Harrison Avenue water main as well. But there's two components. One is the distribution. Jamie can explain better, but we break them into separate departments. Smart meter projects, that actually is moving forward, and we're kind of like winding down to very final. We're connecting everything to Tyler, and hopefully fiscal '25 we can completely go wireless, what I call. William Street Water Services connection was at 5,000. Sewer fund, there's a Ford F-150 truck purchased, and there's another truck for collection system. Broad Street Love Station, small amount. William Street Pump Station, wastewater plant flow meter and pump. Sprayside Ford Ranger been purchased, lawnmower, and we have spent some money on the forest management. 6 months of stormwater. I'm so glad it's doing the way it's doing. We're moving in the right path and right direction. We are hoping to receive all the grants and complete all of our capital outlay projects, capital improvements that have been budgeted. But overall, the revenues collected and the stormwater fund set up as a priority, what it means that anybody who pays their utility bills, the stormwater amount allocated first and then everything else. So the collections are not very high, which helps a lot. The only thing is winter months when we're hurting not being able to disconnect because the stormwater depends on the other utilities. Overall, is a small income of 6 months of $33,000, and there is a transfer being set for fiscal '24 to be completed. Hopefully, we will be able to do that, which I hope. There is a small amount spent in capital improvements for Westminster Abbey submerged wetlands. And that's all I have for 6 months. If you have any questions or want to go back to any of the slides, I'll be more than happy to answer or discuss.
I'm just gonna say what I always say, because it's always accurate, great job, and thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Much better to do this on a fresh.
I can't complete that without my department. I have people that are very helpful to me. That, unfortunately, I discussed that. That requires a lot of work. The Tyler does not just produce that. So the goal going forward is to spend some legwork in Tyler, which probably maybe adding some projects in Tyler that will allow us to produce the reports very readily, and instead of spending time after time to download. Right now, it's all exported to Excel, sorting it out, so it's very user-friendly. If I just print the reports from Tyler, it's very complicated. So we'll be working on it going forward.
I don't understand. You said the reports from Tyler are very complicated. You talking about how you have to.
I shouldn't say complicated, I should say it's very detailed. It will be complicated to understand by just looking at the report. So the way we produce the financial highlights is to export in everything and then summarize it into the PowerPoint presentation, and that's pretty much where the time spent on. So we would like to go forward and do some work in Tyler so we can produce more summarized reports and more non-accountant user-friendly reports.
So Tyler has the capacity to
Customize it.
customize the reports just the way we want them, but
I
that
just
is
need-
technical.
I just need people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you again. All right. Any last questions for Natalie? All right.
I just had one more thing for us as a consideration. I have seen vehicles purchased throughout this presentation. And I wonder if we could develop specifications for the vehicles that we purchase going forward. I think that would serve us well. And then it would not be up to Jimmy or Tim to purchase a vehicle, but they would decide on how the vehicle should be used. And those specifications of what's in the vehicle, what it would do, would come from us.
Sourcewell has the vehicles broken down, right?
I don't know, I haven't looked at Sourcewell directly in a while.
Maybe what we do is just put it on as a discussion item, and just put it, like, get a F-150, F-250, and a Ford Ranger that's done in Sourcewell. Good.
3 years ago, when I bought that first two, the four-wheel drive F-250 four-door, there was a huge price difference between a government truck and the trucks we're finding on the lot. in that year from 21 into 22, when the demand was such a demand, the government trucks really started to fade away. Because, and I'll just use a Ford as an example, Ford had people buying trucks off the lot, and they weren't making government trucks. And so now what we're end up finding, and Tim and I, we both found this, the government truck is just as expensive as the truck we're finding on the lots. And even sometimes the trucks on the lots are cheaper because there's such a high demand for the government trucks. And we're only allowed, the allowance through Sourcewell is only so many trucks to purchase. And I'm not saying, denying that you guys shouldn't have control, but I'm just saying, like, in years past, there was, you could find government trucks, now we can't find government trucks.
You know, government trucks and trucks off the lot is entirely beyond my expertise. But what I do know is that we as a council, I think should standardize what is being purchased, even if it is purchasing those trucks off the lot as compared to the government trucks. I think that should be our decision. And it should not be left to department heads to determine what truck they're gonna go to the lot and purchase. That's just my opinion.
But to add also to the capital, I think each department has a vehicle replacement capital plan in place as well. But I can tell you that they warn those vehicles till they're completely dead. So it's never been replaced. The vehicle in the department have not, including even the police department, have not been replaced at the point where it should be replaced. It's always been utilized as the expected life.
I remember sitting, our first couple of years in budget sessions, Tim, you weren't here at the time, but, Tim and Jamie were both like, we went out and looked at your trucks and they were rough. And I mean, torn seats and every bit you all got out of them, I think. And then, even then, some of them were still repurposed for some other work. But
my town vehicle was actually supposed to be replaced like 4 years ago, and it kept getting cut from the budget for like 4 years straight.
I remember each year we were sitting there, and then you all were like, all right, I think I can go another year. And I'm like,
Yep.
this year you're getting the truck.
My concern is not with the need to purchase and replace vehicles. That's not my concern at all. But I think across departments, there should be some type of standardization, because that's just what I feel. I saw Fords being purchased, and then I saw Chevrolet or GMC, whatever that, Silverado, I think.
Yeah, can I make a comment about that?
Right.
That saved us $10,000 by purchasing that Chevrolet versus the Ford.
And I have to say, across the board, all those vehicles will truck and take care of them, which is what, yeah, you keep them clean, and it goes a long way, and we really do appreciate that. But to your point, we'll also make sure that each vehicle that comes across will have the spec sheet, at least for what Sourcewell would have for it. So now, up next is agenda item 5B, Town of Berlin 2023 annual report and their 2024 goals. I want to thank everybody, all of our department heads, the council, for passing those along. There will be the digital copy of this that will be sent out with the Berlin Bulletin, and then also we'll make some print copies available downstairs. So the 2023 annual report. Up page 2 is a little note for myself, and then page 3 has all of your all's beautiful faces on it. So thank you 3. Page 4 has the mayor and council, a brief, the way that we did the report this year, you've got the goals that are bullet format, and then the accomplishments that are more reading like a little bit of a short narrative. I'm not going to read every single one of them, but I will touch on the mayor and council's notable legislative milestones included, Maple Avenue, which was also a project taken on by many of our departments as well. The consolidated transportation plan request, and this is not an exhaustive summary, it's just some of the high points. Multi-year plan for casino funding, celebrating community milestones like our Berlin Little League, state championship, projects for stormwater and utility upgrades to help ensure service reliability, and then the adoption of the step and grade system for accountability and fairness for our employees. And then you'll see, I can't thank Pam enough for spearheading the decorating of our float, so that is featured there as well. And then the work that we're doing on our strategic plan. So then some of our goals, and this is communal, came from all of us, secure funding for a community center, design a new public works facility, develop and implement a funding formula for fire and EMS, adopt a budget without tax increase, finalize changes to impact fees and town fee schedule, evaluate parking solutions, determine a path forward for demolition and disposition of Heron Park, support funding opportunities for Berlin Skate Park, complete design work for West Street, finalize design guidelines, develop micro grant for stormwater, private stormwater projects, request a quarterly presentation from the Berlin Chamber of Commerce, monitor speeding using speed cameras, monitor the sports complex project being spearheaded by Ocean City, adopt the town strategic plan, increase planning and zoning enforcement, continue to provide high-quality services to our community, adopt a step and grade system for town employees, and evaluate the need for continuation of enterprise fund capital fees. So that's the mayor and council from a legislative perspective. You have the mayor's office on page 5, which encompasses Sarah and I's work, along with all of our departments and many of you. So we had serving on some different boards and commissions, such as the Rural Maryland Council and the Maryland Municipal League, hosting the U.S. Senate on Small Business and Entrepreneurship, and hosting the business roundtables and the emergent meetings that we do with economic development. Collaborations with Beacon, who's handling our strategic plan, and then AT&T FirstNet, who's assisting with all of our bricks that we love so much. And actually, they really do work well. Tim and I were talking about it operationally the other day, how much they've come in hand, and I do hear Public Works quite a bit throughout the day, and they'll do a fabulous job with them, so thank you. Let's see. Raising the pride flags for the first time, lighting the menorah for the first time in Berlin, some of the work that we've done together, participating in the law enforcement torch run for Special Olympics, legislative advocacy, grant applications. Sarah's really indulging in the federal applications quite a bit, so thank you. Collaborative projects, let's see, some of the goals for the mayor's office this 2024 calendar year: strengthen relationships and neighboring municipalities and government agencies, expand internship opportunities within the town, launch a comprehensive fundraising campaign for the community center, increase the frequency of and accessibility of our Meet the Mayor open office hours, advocate for grants and funding opportunities to enhance bicycle and pedestrian safety. We do have the grant in that this body did approve for the bipartisan infrastructure legislation. Develop grant application for congressionally directed spending. Sarah's been working quite a bit on that, with the community center being the project for funding. Collaboration with contract design firms for with town staff, the council, and the community members for town hall, the community center, and the public works facility. Work with the state delegation to become member regulated for our electric utility. That's something we've been wanting to do, is get away from the Public Service Commission if we can. Increase attendance and participation in the East Ham and Lesma dinners, and reestablish Berlin as a banner city throughout the Mount. And then looking at administration, we got Kelsey and Kate there at the job fair.
Weird.
What's that?
I just said, I don't even remember Kate's hair being that long. I pointed to it, I was like, your hair's so long. Sorry.
Some of the pictures were hard to see, so it's good. So the accomplishments, Henry Park basketball court lighting project, the wage compensation study, LEOPS for the law enforcement officers, really the heavy lifting was in human resources on that. The RFP for smart meters, modernization of our water resources infrastructure, speed camera study to help mitigate traffic concerns. And then something that we're very proud of, which is the apprenticeship program with water resources and electric. Administrative updates to the employee handbook and the fee schedule, work with the strategic planning, and then progress on the West Street upgrades and Heron Park demo, and then assisting with the Cedar Road striping project as part of some of the accomplishments. The goals address Harrison Avenue water main issues to enhance road infrastructure and water supply, finalize Steve Decatur Park Comfort Station, Dean's Bathroom, utilize DHCD grant funds and demolish sections of Heron Park processing building, recruit a special projects coordinator who's sitting over there. Thank you, Kate. Develop a new user-friendly Town of Berlin website, implement an employee wellness program to promote health and work-life balance. It was interesting because the goals come from each one of the departments. They don't really see each other's, but wellness and employee wellness and activeness were a running theme that you'll see through some of these. Execute strategies for the wage compensation classification study. Revise and update the employee handbook to reflect current policies and procedures, and support the human resources director in the completion of the certified public manager program, which Natalie completed last year. So we're getting some folks through that program. Finance, you have Miss Michelle peering out the window. I'm ready to take your order. The town finance department, whatever order that may come in, payment first and then order after. So securing an outstanding audit from PKS and Company, we can't say that enough, so thank you, Natalie, you and your department for the work you do for that. Reaffirming our fiscal responsibility, the allocation of ARPA grants for capital projects and fire safety, demonstrating, the general fund with a remarkable 50% increase in the unassigned fund balance, establishing funding reserves. The utility fund, boasting a $3 million net position in our water and sewer services capital fees and e-billing implementation. Smart meter projects are being implemented, as Natalie mentioned. And then streamlining the organization transparency process with improved filing, reporting, and billing. Promotions of staff development initiatives, including the Certified Public Manager certification that we mentioned a moment ago that Natalie received. Promoting that really throughout the Department of Growth and Excellence and continuing education. Facilitating the budget preparation and enhancing the budget meetings and the internal processes. And then, let's see, that summarizes most of that. And then goals, ensure financial sustainability and transparency, conduct comprehensive budget planning, enhance internal controls and policies, improve utility billing and collection processes, monitor expenditures and pursue grant funding, support financial resilience across departments, deliver outstanding service and customer care, implement smart meter software, maintain outstanding audit results and pursue the GFOA Distinguished Budget Award, enhance the public financial reporting, transition to paperless and organized filing to improve the accessibility to information, invest in departmental professional development, foster team collaboration and communication, improve time management practices to optimize productivity and efficiency, promote employee growth and challengement, excel in leadership and communication, promote workplace wellness, and initiate the Certified Public Finance Officer designation process. Moving on to the police department, you'll see that there's done a lot of professional development and community outreach. Some of those initiatives include the National Night Out events, donation to local organizations such as Life Crisis and Worcester County Gold, and sponsorship of the Berlin Trick or Treat or Truck or Treat. Trick or Treat, or they might mean the candy side of things and not truck or treat. I'd have to ask, I'm sorry. And then assisting families affected by house fires, showcase their community dedication and community engagement. Chief Downing continuing his leadership on various boards and completion of the executive management training with MML. The department did have 3 retirements in 2023. They include Lieutenant Lawson, Sergeant O'Connor, and K-9 Luke. Lieutenant Fisher completed the emergency medical training, and then several officers received promotions and obtained specialized training in 2023. Prioritized officer well-being through mental health training and the adoption of some IA Pro tracking software for the transparency and reporting. And then some of the goals for 2024, you see some of our recruits up there in the top right. You see the signing of LEOP's photo down the bottom left, which is a big moment for Berlin. The goals for 2024 are prioritizing filling the vacancies and enhancing staff retention strategies. Strengthen community policing strategies, develop additional leadership training programs for supervisory staff, launch and assess the effectiveness of speed cameras, improve the agency's overall technical infrastructure, onboard new K-9, ensure personnel complete the mandatory Maryland Police Training Standards courses.
Can I also add that we onboarded a new lateral today from Kent Sheriff's Department, so we started today, you'll see him soon, I'm sure.
Restate that again, where they came from.
He came from Kent County Sheriff.
Kent County, Maryland.
Yes. Yeah. He just moved to Stone Hill, so he has started with Berlin.
And the nice part about a lateral is we do have, if you look at the Berlin Police Department's page 8, the new recruits there, I think, will not be ready on the road really until September.
Yeah, this is in September,
So-
and he'll only have,
The lateral.
a few weeks, yes, the
Right.
lateral will have a few weeks of, FTO, and then he'll be ready to go, so.
So it's nice to help provide that. It's a balanced level of support. So,
His name is Colin Shockley, if you see him out and about.
Great to see that that's starting to happen.
Yes, and we are talking to another lateral, so hopefully we'll be.
Nice.
We'll-
Great progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll take it when we can. So.
I'm sure the guys in the police department are very excited to not have as much overtime, so.
All right, Public Works, page 9. Public Works Department milestones, acquisition of F-250 and F-750 with plows, and the lift gates, collaborative efforts. And Jimmy, I don't think it's said enough, you all, where you go source the lift gates from to help save some money and ensure we get good product, so thank you. The collaborative efforts with what was the Beautification Committee and is now the Horticultural Advisory Committee, which is led by Public Works, and their installation of flower pots, work at the War Memorial Post Office and Tinley Way. Can't tell who's ringing. Sanitation improvements, including new cans to replace over 100 broken lids, and then preventative maintenance on the sanitation trucks, ensuring uninterrupted waste management services, knock on wood, and infrastructure enhancements encompass paving streets like Graham Avenue, Decatur Street, Stevenson Lane, and then you also have Maple Avenue in here as well, with the ADA standard sidewalk improvements as well. New grass cutter to help take care of the green spaces. Let's see. And then I think that's a pretty good summary of that. And then 2024 goals for Public Works, develop plans for a modern public works facility at Heron Park, introduce barcode identification to trash cans. You may have seen some of those starting to pop up. Improve trash collection services town-wide with prompt, efficient waste removal. Launch initiatives to help boost recycling. We're always trying to find a way to reduce our tipping fees. procure state-of-the-art automated trash truck, which was approved by this body to move forward for a future expenditure. Create, and Jimmy and I have talked about this quite a bit, trying to find a way we can update their branding and potentially make it on the clean team. Replace street signs and updated designs for enhanced safety and aesthetics. Focus on street paving projects to upkeep the road conditions and ensure smooth transportation. Undertake sidewalk repairs and install new pathways to promote pedestrian safety and accessibility. Parks, we have Mary and the chairman of our Parks Commission, and Kate as well for our cleanup up top, right? The milestones there are enhancing the environment, prioritizing safety, cleanliness, and beautification, expanding the maintenance of the mulch beds, completing additional new flower and shrub planting, and then increasing the aesthetic appeal of our parks and open spaces. The pathway at Stephen Decatur Park was repaved, so that's a completion for 2023, helping with the walking surfaces there. We added and finalized the disc golf addition to Stephen Decatur Park, as well as identified the location of the future skate park at Heron Park, and then did some additional plantings with the help of We Heart Berlin and the beautification for horticultural team around the ping pong tables at Burbage Park. Let's see, that summarizes most of it. And then goals for 2024, develop a comprehensive strategy for tree planting, town parks and green spaces, ensure ongoing repair, replacement, and painting of playground equipment, introduce new equipment and replace aging structures. It looks like we are going to get funded for Dr. William Henry Park, so hopefully keep our fingers crossed on that. I know, it looks like it, the writing's all there, it's a capital project. Enhance accessibility features in town playgrounds to accommodate individuals with disabilities, fostering inclusivity and equal access to recreational facilities, implement measures to reduce invasive plant populations, creating the clear sight lines through our parks, which is the safety component, and then install automated external defibrillators, or AEDs, and flotation devices in our parks.
You always save the best ones for the last bullet in each department.
Gotta keep you hanging.
That's number one, that's number one.
It's great. Gotta keep you ready to read. I expect you all, there will be a quiz later. Economic and community development. They handle a lot of initiatives and grants and secured $25,000 for the Main Street Improvement Grant, which helped with the beautification of flowers and benches downtown. Facilitated the Berlin Bubble Project, celebrating the milestone 6th anniversary of the Farmers Market. Welcomed the Berlin Tracks and Yaks folks to Berlin to increase tourism and local businesses. Facilitate the facade grants to help revitalize several businesses and enhance the aesthetics downtown. Helped with the first event for Hanukkah that we had. And then volunteer contributions, we can't thank these folks enough, but there's 3,817 hours of volunteer time that were logged in 2023 at the Visitor Center, and with all of our events and stuff like that. And then 8 new businesses opened, and the conversion of old street signs, or street banners, into reusable bags. Sarah sports one around all the time, so check them out. And then, let's move into the goals. So, facilitate renewal application for the town's Sustainable Communities designation. That helps us with grants. Preserve historical aesthetics by restoring the advertising murals on the Esham building. Launch Pumpkins in the Park at Stephen Decatur Park in October 2024. Produce quarterly videos showcasing the town's attractions and events to attract tourists and boost economic growth. That was a component of our business roundtable and the merchant meetings, and also part of our request to the county commissioners as a funding partner. Recruit an intern for social media marketing to enhance local presence and support local businesses. That came up through the Ulster County, they have a pack for their business school, and each child that goes through the high schools in Maryland has the option to take, or opportunity to take part in an internship or a placement, and part of that request was that many of the folks feel like they don't have access or the knowledge to be able to help their businesses with social media and posting and how the content works and how platforms work. So the idea has come up that we would like to recruit a student to be able to assist with that would work at the visitor center and be a resource to businesses because of the threshold that's needed to be able to bring on an intern. You have to have so many employees, and that usually excludes a lot of our businesses. So trying to get that resource and help out the high school in the same way. Redesigned the Visit Berlin website to make it a little bit more user-friendly, just like the town website. All right, let's see. Approaching the end, folks. We've tried to group it the way that the budget reads as well. So planning and zoning, let's see. Guided development activities in the community. Over the course of 2023, the department issued a total of 227 permits, which included permits for the construction of 5 new single-family dwellings, 18 townhouse dwellings, and facilitated residential growth and expansion. Additionally, the Historic District Commission reviewed and approved 22 separate applications for improving and ensuring the preservation and enhancement of the town's historic character. The Planning Commission played a crucial role in reviewing and approving 9 applications for site plan approval. And then, let's see, the planning department's integral in the staff liaison capacity with the update and revision that's taking place with the town's comprehensive plan. And short-term rental ordinance and the issuance of 13 permits in compliance with the ordinance. So then goals, prioritize the completion and review and update to the town's comprehensive plan, finalize and publish commercial architectural design standards, continue the efforts to secure funding for the Rails and Trails pathway or the Berlin Bikeway, implement door hangers for code enforcement, utilizing both positive reinforcement and identification of common areas for improvement to help with compliance. Digital permitting or digitized permitting and enforcement and reporting processes, and publish GIS layer for citizens and businesses to understand the zoning throughout town. The ditch management stuff could also be in there for like stormwater. Electric, let's see, several milestones, including becoming the first in the state of Maryland to sponsor a line worker apprenticeship program. Thank you, Tim, to you and your group for that. It's a huge lift, and Kelsey, you as well. Individual accomplishments, Caleb Hunter is our first to graduate the lineman training program. Employees like Paul and Charles are progressing through the lineman training. David Davis is completing the meter technician training. Let's see. There were some infrastructure projects, including the stuff that we're working on to prepare for the natural gas engines at the power plant, completion of projects at the power plant substation, installation of the EV chargers on Commerce Street, and then the inspection of the fuel tanks to help ensure the reliability and safety of the electrical infrastructure. Two proclamations, isn't it? 2024, but it's really good. I mean, you all do a lot of hard work, and I don't think it gets recognized enough. So that's why, I mean, I will lose my voice doing this, but it's worth it. So.
The CDA ordinance.
No, please don't. I'd rather read this, all the work that you all do. So, 2024 goals, conduct a study and implement plans to establish a town fiber optic internet service or utility, identify and underground a portion of electric utility lines annually, integrate automation technologies within the electric department, onboard the two new natural gas generators, implement a SCADA system on Schofield Street substation to help with the monitoring and control, facilitate the lineman training, meter technician programs, and skill development initiatives for the workforce, modernize metering capabilities, which is what the bond issuance will help us do with AMI metering, conduct a comprehensive rate case study. That happens through the Public Service Commission with a lot of work with Tim, our consultants, and Natalie. The relay cabinet replacement, transformer maintenance, and testing to ensure equipment reliability. Enhance public communication and community engagement by installing a downtown audio system. I've asked Tim to get worked up this a while back, to bring it back to the forefront, especially following the Christmas parade when we had a child go missing, as a way to help with the emergency messaging, as well as it'll have some aesthetic enhancements for downtown as well, with play music and stuff, but when there's a emergency or something like that, it would allow us to be able to broadcast that downtown. Work towards becoming a member regulated utility, and that's getting away from the public service commission. All right, water resources. Water quality infrastructure, environmental sustainability within the community, securing funding for the lead service line replacement. That's a huge grant and huge work on the water resources side of things. Very proactive in addressing the public health concerns related to lead lines. Obtaining funding for a new well to help ensure and expand the reliability of our water infrastructure. Let's see. Meeting all the permit goals with MDE and Maryland Department of Environment, then the two stormwater projects on Pine, Franklin, and Nelson, along with the other work that we're doing in the planning side of things for West Street and going just like that. Abbey Lane, thank you. 2024 goals. Meter installation, ensure townwide meter installation for accurate water consumption. Well number 4, secure a suitable site. Broad Street lift station, construct a lift station on Broad Street for sewage management enhancement. Harrison Avenue water main, which we all approved this evening. Water sewer permit compliance. Well number 1, well house, construct a new well house there. Lead service line replacement throughout the community. Stormwater project completion. And then stormwater project funding for Hudson Branch and Westminster. All right, now we're on to employee milestones. We have for 5-year milestones in 2023, we had Senior Officer Kevin Lloyd, Allison Early, Brian Fortune, Caleb Hunter, David Bassett, and Connor Rom. I always mess it up. Rom. Thank you. 10 years of service, Dave Englehart, Megan, Keith Dukes, PCO or Communications Officer Eddie Carmine for 15 years, James Lockwood for 20 years, Chris Byerly, Corporal, 25 years. And then we have the 3 retirements, Sergeant O'Connor on the left, Lieutenant Lawson in the middle, and then K-9 Luke there with Chris on the right-hand side. She better not be.
I don't get one of these highlights, one of these.
Oh, I'm saying, I thought you were talking about retirement. As they click
5
in.
years, 5-year increments.
So then, we can't thank our board, commission, and committee members enough. I'm not going to read everybody's name, but they are listed here. We did have a few folks that dropped off or stepped back in 2023. Those are noted in parentheses, so you can see who they are, and we do thank everybody for their work. Every one of the boards, commissions, and committees, with the exception of the Board of Supervisors of Elections, is unpaid, so thank you very much to everybody for volunteering your time. And then last but not least, the acknowledgements, page 17. I can't thank our department heads and staff enough for helping compile all the information each year for these reports. And then also helping with making sure that they're accurate, that goes a long way. Sarah, I don't even know how I did it without Sarah before, but the reports get more and more voluminous, and Sarah helps manage and stay on top of everybody for getting those turned in and consolidating them, so thank you. And then I have to thank my wife because I really thought I did a good job this year with making the report look nice, but design is not my forte. Let's put it that way, but the report looks beautiful. Chelsea calls herself the unpaid intern. She's been doing that by some of the staff as well. But I think my neighbor says it the best. Older woman lives behind me, Miss Betty Hudson. Ever since I moved in and Chelsea and I are together, she always says it takes a good woman to train a good man. So I think Miss Betty's got it right, but Chelsea's definitely a good woman to have in my corner. So thank you. All right. Any questions regarding the report?
Very impressive.
I mean, I just compile it. They do all the work. Really. The staff do it all. It's nothing but words and pictures that we put together. So that's the true thank you. And Jimmy, I don't think you were here. You were out jet setting on your motorcycle. But Commissioner Purnell had great things to say about the work that you all did on Seahawk Road during the commissioner meeting. So thank you. All right, let's move on to departmental reports with the town administrator.
I don't have anything.
We like that. All right, any questions regarding the departmental reports?
I did on economic,
Way to bog us down. Go ahead.
really just, and I'm trying to hear us, but it's been a talking point in the community about the parking lot, at least at the Sterling Tavern and paving, and whether or not the town has been asked, has the town been officially asked to pitch in or pave that part of the parking lot?
Go ahead.
There will be further discussions about that later in the spring.
Okay, gotcha.
But we've been notified by the owner that there are improvements that they would like to make.
Right.
And that they do not feel that they should shoulder all of those costs.
Okay.
And I think that's going to be part of our larger parking discussion.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but I think we've got a meeting on the books. We've got to put our heads together for that meeting as well. But certainly trying to do our due diligence so that we're prepared for those meetings.
Right. And then I see Jimmy's going before the merchant meeting to talk about commercial trash collection. Would you anticipate, just going to kind of go give an overview of that, or what do you anticipate there?
I just wanted to communicate with some of the businesses and make sure that, so we went out, we developed some labels that we're ready to start implementing these, and we're gonna label every can throughout the town. And we're gonna know whether it's a commercial can or residential can. Every can will have a label, and then it's for our purpose, but it's to find some maybe businesses that maybe we're not sure where these cans are at. There are some cans that we're emptying and we're not 100% sure where, and some of them fill into some of the apartments and stuff throughout the town, but we're gonna find them cans, and I just wanted to let the businesses know that we're starting this. And then we'll have a little brief discussion about dumpsters and commercial rates and that information.
And if anybody wants to assist with finding a can that maybe has become misplaced, you're always willing to assist.
Correct.
So,
Thank you.
all right. Anything else for the departmentals? All right, let's open it up for, thank you. Oh, Tim, sorry.
I just wanted to make an announcement. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, there will be a code red announcement going out. Harrison Avenue will be closed from Baker Street to Broad Street Wednesday from 9 o'clock in the morning until 2. It's to do some work there for the new brewery, for the electric utility.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to public comment. Anyone from the public that would like to address the mayor and council? Yes, Mary.
Mary Pedlesky, Westminster Drive. I don't know what's going on, but the audio, like online, is terrible. And there are even times in here, we're trying to hear you guys or like anybody saying anything. It's real muffled. I don't know if there's anything that can be done But
Is that even like when I'm talking, do you think it's muffled?
you're real good, and Councilmember Green come out very strong. But with everybody else, and it's not all the time, but sometimes it comes across very muffled. Where you, even sitting in here.
The only thing I can say is that I think we're trying to improve, but if you find that happening, please just like raise your hand and get our attention so that
Okay.
it's very helpful for us to know like in the moment.
Okay.
That way we can improve. I think that we've tried our best. Jack, see, you got some little post-its.
My booming voice, I guess, isn't enough.
That's good, Jack.
Okay.
So we're trying to do better. I think some of it's just retraining ourselves on talking through the microphones and making sure, but please stop us. If you can't hear or something's not clear or you need it repeated, please just let us know.
Thank you.
Jack has also assigned a mic to each council member. So we're working on it.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else in the public that would like to address the mayor and council? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to council comments, starting with Vice President Burrow.
I just have one comment, and that is, thank you, Zach, for your presentation this evening related to the annual report. I think sharing that information just lets us know how diligent and how hard our staff works to serve us, the citizens of the town of Berlin. And on behalf of those citizens, I would like to thank each and every one of you for the work you do so very well. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Vice President. Councilmember Grant.
I'll certainly ditto Dean's comments about the annual report. Well done. And special thanks to Chelsea for putting it all together.
Excellent, thank you.
One thing tonight I want to bring up, earlier in the week, Councilman Horace sent out an email regarding the start of having discussions about Heron Park and things we need to do on this council level. We know the demo is starting, it's going to go rapidly, and it's time to start having that discussion about what we see the future of that area is, what we want to do with it, those kind of things. So if we could get that on the agenda, upcoming meeting, that would be time well spent.
Thank you, I agree. I think you did a great job in summarizing the points and trying to get it across. So, thank you. Anything else?
Yep, that's it.
Councilmember Nichols.
Mayor, you tried to force this microphone in my face, but it really hurt, and
It's in your inventory, you better keep track.
You gotta share with me or share with Councilmember? Everybody has one, I don't need one. But I'll say this, the report, phenomenal job, kudos. Not just highlighting every department, but also being able to include all of the committees and whatnot. There are some folks on these committees, be they with us still or those that have passed, like Mount Phyllis, who have served on these committees for many, many years. And to see their names and to know that they've been recognized for the time that they put into the role that they take as seriously as the rest of us sitting here and out there, I say thank you for including those ladies and gentlemen as well. It warms my heart to see that we, as the town of Berlin, operating body is becoming, not that we hadn't been, but becoming and showcasing our inclusivity on multiple levels. So I appreciate that. Kudos to us as an entity for that. Also, I'm stepping on my soapbox. I'm talking speeding and traffic, and I love that it's mentioned in there that got me excited. And I'd like for us to go back and talk about, the chief isn't here, but I'm putting it out there. Go back and talk about these 25-mile-an-hour side streets. So yes, I have my little list. I'd like for us to address those, and I know that it's something that has to happen via the ordinance or codes and all those other cute things. So, yeah, let's discuss those. Thank you.
Thank you.
just a note, Shanika's reference to Mom Phyllis is Phyllis Purnell, who served this town in various volunteer capacities over the years.
And we can't do it without any of the volunteers, really. I mean, this, you might see some boards or commissions front and center a little bit more, but, I mean, there's work that happens, whether, I mean, you never see the folks from, like, horticulture working, like, in a setting like this, but you always see them with their hands dirty. So, I mean, it's,
And we
each one
can't
of us
say
has that.
enough, even to those committees that aren't filled, positions that are open, like Board of Elections, are we full yet? Very close. I'm done.
All right, Councilmember Orts.
Yes, I echo, I think that the 23 annual report was very well done, and kudos, of course, to our staff and volunteers and everyone, unpaid interns, everyone who helps out and works with the town, or for the town. Just a couple comments, and according to the clock, we're only at 8 o'clock, so. See. But, so I just wanted to kind of piggyback. I didn't know that Mayor Tyndall was going to do the proclamation today, but I did get, thank you to Mrs. Pellinger. She got us, the council, some pins for Down Syndrome Day on the 21st, and also for Down Syndrome Month in October awareness. So she got them for us, and I passed them out already, so I wanted to just pass that along. Yeah, that's where. So I also, last meeting, I had asked to just kind of touch on, with Dave Engelhardt, design standards, but he has, in between there, he had emailed all of us, and I'm not gonna read the whole email, but he did, sorry, Mary, but he did get back to us, and I understand that the planning commission is looking into this, and he's including in his budget request some funding. And speaking for Councilmember Orris, I've been watching the Planning Commission meetings, and I don't know how to say this. I think that we do need standards so that things are not quite as subjective, and it just makes everyone on the same page, and there's no ambiguity about certain things. So I encourage that and look forward to seeing that budget request. During the recent rain event, or the month of March, I guess. I was driving around in the district, and I do want to say I don't know if anyone has worked on the pond there in Westminster, but it seems to have been handling the weather very well. I've gotten reports that it did not overflow. So whatever's been going on there, or whatever's happening there, seems to be very good. So I just wanted to give kudos. I know that some of the neighbors there have been monitoring it and working the best they can to take care of it. So that's great. I think that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you for the pins.
Yeah.
Councilmember Reed.
Yes, I only echo the same comments on the annual report. Thank you for all the work that went into it, everyone. Last Tuesday, the town of Raleigh was really well represented at the county commissioners meeting. We definitely had the most elected, appointed staff members there. I think that was a great showing. I think it's important to, when we show up in numbers, I think it is meaningful. And then, along the lines of what Jack was saying, I've noticed in other governments where the county level and in Ocean City level, where the planning commission and the mayor and council, the appointed officials and the elected officials, are not necessarily on the same page on some things. And I've been watching the planning commission meetings as well, and really just taking it in as observing as a citizen, frankly. I don't usually have to attend the meetings, because I just think it's better just to not really participate and just observe and listen at home another time. But in some of those different jurisdictions I mentioned, there's been quite a bit of discord in between the groups, where recommendations are made by the planning commission and then they're overturned or not adhered to at the governing body level. In Ocean City, they actually brought the planning commission together with the city council, and they were able to kind of flush through some things, and you can see these disagreements play out in person. I'm not asking for a timeline or anything like that. I just think that as the comprehensive plan continues to move forward, you know, I listened to some of it, and it, you know, clearly the planning commission doesn't think that there should be any annexations, infill development, and I think it's a position that I share, but I think that, you know, I'm concerned that what if that's a position that this group doesn't share? You know, what if, I would rather us be able to have some sort of, and I don't know what format, I mean, I'm not even really asking anything, I just wanted to plant the seed that in the, we're gonna get involved in the budget time, and maybe in the summertime, you know, a possible time when we all sit down in a work session format, and just kind of make sure that, I don't think it would be disrespectful for the planning commission to put forward a recommendation that maybe is not shared by this group, and that's what creates the strife and the division. So there's a time when, as these important decisions are made, and maybe Dave can, you know, shepherd this sort of meeting as far as when we think it's a good time. You know, I think they are coming to some consensus, and they've had some new membership as well. You know, it's like, now I've watched this whole diocese pretty much full, and it hasn't been that way in the past. So, really just planting the seed, just put that on the radar. Maybe there's a time when they are making some pretty key consensus recommendations that, you know, maybe it's a time when we can all sit down and decide, make sure we're on the same page. You know, again, I don't want to create a situation where they think, as planning commission members, that, you know, the elected officials won't share that opinion. So that's all.
Just some of those opinions are not shared by this body, but I think we do not all need to be on the same page, but there comes a point when discussions need to take place between the bodies.
Right.
So we could build the positions of those folks and have those discussions as to where we would like to see the town go. Those associations and councils were developed because some of the decisions they make could be deemed political. And we are trying to take those put those positions in a special place where discussions and differences of opinions can be aired before it even gets to us. And I believe that is a good thing. I believe sometimes the differences of opinions can be of asset to the general body. I think we do not need to all think the same thing.
Oh, I definitely agree 100%. No, I don't think any of us up here are always on the same page either. Because sometimes we vote the same, but it doesn't mean we all share the same opinions. So, no, I totally agree. Do you not favor getting together?
Can I maybe interject for just a moment? First, thank you about the Worcester County Commissioner meeting. I think it went very well, and for all the comments, not by this body, but from some others about us coming together on requests. I think we can take a look at the unrestricted grants that were requested. Berlin was at 7.5% increase, Ocean City was a 7.4% increase, Pocomoke was a 6-point-something% increase, and Snow Hill has what we want, which is $500,000. So we're asking the same things, so I think that went a long way. Next year we should lead with Mayor Pruitt, who said that we should let him lead, it'll make it easier. So thank you to everybody that came for that, and all of our staff. And, well, no, and I was going to say thank you to those that tuned in and watched and supported us as well. Now, as far as the planning commission goes, we did receive a letter today from Worcester County, asking as they're embarking on their comprehensive plan updates, to have the town respond to certain questions within 45 days. So what I said to Sarah, Dave, and Mary was, I don't think that this body should respond alone, given the time constraint. I think it'd be better if we respond together. Because maybe we're gonna dip our toe in the water of a joint meeting with the planning commission to see how that works, responding to the county's request from the town. So
Great, yeah.
within the next 40, probably earlier, next 30 days, we'll see a meeting between us and them, and it works great.
I appreciate that. I think, and all the members aren't gonna be on the same page, but I think,
We gotta answer the questions and respond, so I think it's best to have both, the mayor and council and the planning commission present.
I wasn't aware of that, so.
What happens today? That's why I figured I'd help you out.
No, Clark, you did very well.
It's,
We're gonna need a changing booth in the other way. Alright, anything else? Up next are comments from the mayor, and this is the suspense that Councilmember Nichols was trying to take from me. No, I'm joking, it's really not that suspenseful, but we did have 3 applications. We conducted 2 interviews for the Board of Supervisors of Elections. Both candidates were very strong. The challenge is that we only have 1 vacancy. And we have had the challenge in the past where we've had more than 1 vacancy entering into an election. So in conversations with the interview panel and town administrator and town attorney, we wanted to gauge this body's willingness to add, as we have with other boards and commissions, an alternate to the Board of Supervisors of Elections. It would take a resolution that the town attorney could draft, but the language would be relatively simple to add that.
So with the with the,
We would have to draft an ordinance.
Yeah, okay, ordinance, my apologies.
would this be just for this election cycle, or would this be?
It would run indefinitely with the Board of Supervisors of
I'm
Elections.
not looking for any.
Now, there is a fiscal impact, albeit nominal, since the Board of Supervisors of Elections are paid, what's the dollar?
Well, the last couple of elections, one of which was during COVID, so that threw a whole
When
different.
we're talking the fiscal impact, it's less than $1,000.
Oh, absolutely.
More or
Yeah,
less
less
than
than 500.
It was like 150.
Yeah, I think fiscal impact's nominal, so.
But they would be hiring workers anyway, is my point, and this would give them an extra person anyway, so.
How does the body feel about
I mean, I'm for it, though. I mean, I guess I'm just asking, how would that go? I mean, the board needs, as needed an election year, correct? They need an election year. Okay. So is the alternate just in case someone can't make it?
Well, they would attend the meetings still,
Okay.
the same as all of our other alternates do. And if there is a member that's absent, then they become a voting member. They still provide comment.
Just like
Yep, they still provide comment, they still participate in discussion.
So they have an active, they're not just.
They have an active role, yes, and the only time they have a vote, though, is if there's a member that's absent.
And you can't just expand for it,
I can't. It takes this body to do that. I think it would be, well, plus then you would mess with,
We don't wanna amend the charter. No, I'm just saying, that's a big push, right?
It would take a charter and then,
Just drafting an ordinance.
and then do it.
and yeah, plus we just want voting members.
So what do you need from us?
I want to know whether or not, before we get Dave Gaskell to start working on it, whether or not this body's open to adding an alternate.
Yes.
Yes.
Any nays? Okay. All right.
And they would only vote if there's an absence.
Correct.
Okay, so I wasn't.
This is actually good, because at the next council meeting, Kate and I were gonna discuss a few things about the election. And so this was one of the things that we were gonna discuss, so that puts us a little bit ahead.
Did we do a first reading and,
We're not gonna be quite at that point next time.
no, I'm asking like the process on this first reading and then the public hearing and then adoption.
I think that could happen.
So then what we're gonna do, just so that we're aware, I believe everybody here is aware, we have, both candidates were very strong, we will select one to move forward with putting them on and let the other one know that we will put them on as soon as that ordinance is passed. Is that okay? We'll take care of it. Thank you all. That was the substance of the suspense.
I'm gonna give you more suspense about the election process.
Oh, no.
We'll discuss an alternate, and we'll also discuss something kind of fun.
Oh, gosh.
We'll just go leave it at that.
Mary does leave us suspended. All right, now, we'll take any comments from the press. Mary, you want to go twice? No? All right. Vice President Burrell?
Before I make that, Bear had brought up before about the election process and what happens if there's a tie.
You're ruining the
We're
suspense.
Leave her alone. What's up with you and Shanita?
Well, I'll take that back.
Okay. Forgot you said that.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor? Thank you. Don't. Don't.
Signatures, no,
No.